Yo, what is good, my quick crypto family and my coin factory family? Back again with another daily Casper and crypto live stream. I apologize for not going live yesterday. Those who aren't a part of the free Discord server that we have that's been running for well over 9 months now, I believe. I made an announcement there yesterday explaining that I was at a stag do, a mate's wedding. Therefore, I could not stream yesterday. I was out all day, but we are back today and we are feeling better than ever. And the markets aren't looking the best today, but I have no doubts that they will still be recovering. We are starting to see some more positive momentum. So, as the title states, we haven't seen nothing yet. And I do believe that much. April, while seemingly kind of a quiet month, if I'm being honest, it doesn't seem like much happened in April as we're now approaching the end of April, but actually April was a very, very bullish month for crypto. And while some immediate short-term pullbacks are expected, in my belief, not financial advice, I think May can actually also be a very, very bullish month for us as well. I'm expecting to see a little bit higher prices in the crypto market, or maybe just holding level where we're at right now. Then going into June and July, I'm hopeful we'll start seeing Bitcoin start testing that all-time high, and Casper equally making some insane gains as well. We've got a lot of sources to cover in today's video. Also, interestingly, Da Vinci Jeremy, Bitcoin maximalist, and also through a lot of hate towards Casper, he recently made a short video where he actually showcased some support of Casper, while obviously still stating that Bitcoin is the best, which we will explain and dissect what he's saying in a moment. He does actually believe that Casper may recover, and I think it will as well, and that Casper will probably reach, he says $1-2. Again, we'll have to wait and see, but we'll get into all of that in this stream. As always, if you enjoy, leave a like, share with your friends, subscribe for more, and ultimately just get ready. We are still early, we still have a lot more to come. Our executive roundtable in the VIP group, got into that a lot more detail as well. We spoke about the institutional documents, how they are losing faith in the economy, but they are all migrating to crypto. If you want to know more about the sort of incoming factors we're taking into account, the more in-depth elements, also, educational videos that we're providing in there as well, trade alerts and much more, come check it out, www.warp.com/coin-factory. 7-day free trial period there as well, so you can check it out for free. And if you like it, by all means come sign up. We welcome you. There's a lot more to dissect in there, and that's why throughout all this time, while my conviction stayed strong, throughout all these daily streams, while my conviction stays strong as well, because of the information that I provide in there as well to the VIPs, is not wavering me one bit, not one bit. And Casper, I think, is equally still in that very, very strong position right now. Casper is down 4.35% on the daily time frame, valued at 9.63 cents, and we may see some further pullbacks in the short term. We'll get into that again in a moment, but I'm still expecting personally for Cap to start making this push upwards over the coming weeks and months as well. Welcome back everyone to the channel once again though. Tony, my brother, first again, love to see it. Welcome back. You too, Ernesto. Casper number 1, you know it. Casper, we all love Casper here. LB Crypto, third on the check-in. Welcome back, brother. All the money in. Do you think we get stablecoins soon after the hard forks? A very good question. Right now, the answer to that is still very much unknown, but I think there's a possibility we do see some stablecoin elements coming out quite soon afterwards, and we'll get into that in the stream as well. We have got sources regarding that as well, which does confirm that we should be seeing the architecture or the infrastructure, if you will, to allow smart contracts to run on Casper very soon, if not actually the very same day as the crescendo hard fork, which is very interesting. So we'll get into that in a moment. Don't worry about it, man. What's up, my man? Yo, Caspians. Welcome back to doing very, very well. Casper to 20 cents are in May. Good question. Very good question. I mean, that will give us, a little over a month from now. There are a lot of very, very bullish catalysts going through. But can we see capital return in May? If I was to look at the M2 supply as a potential indicator of such, it does suggest that we might see Casper reach all-time highs in early June. Again, the M2 supply is a good indicator for the crypto market. It's more so used to correlate against Bitcoin. Bitcoin has got an 80% correlation, so it's not, again, a silver bullet or anything like that, but it's fairly accurate. and the empty supply suggests that we'll start seeing Bitcoin return to all-time highs in around early June as well. So there's a possibility we see Kaspa make some serious gains in this next month, especially following all of their major developments as well. So the answer to that is still uncertain, but I'm optimistic we can see Kaspa start making some serious gains, potentially up to maybe, let's just say 15 cents. You know, we already seen Kaspa go from 5 to 10, 11 cents in this month already. Still over a 2x this month in Kaspa, which actually, it doesn't feel like that, right? It doesn't feel like we've seen a 2x in Kaspa, but we have seen a 2x in Kaspa this month, which is insane. You may see it go up higher as well. And then think about all the imminent tier 1 listings that are still waiting for. I think, again, the sky's the limit for Kaspa, truly. You got Kaspa bears like Crypto Mindset screaming 25 cents for Kaspa. And there are going to be people who have got a very bearish viewpoint on Kaspa and crypto as a whole. You know, there's always going to be bears in this cycle. And the benefit of being quite bearish is because, you know, if you're a bearish individual, if and when an asset surpasses your expectations, you know, you set your expectations so very low that therefore it superseded your expectations, therefore you're kind of in the win in that regard. There's a benefit of being ultra bearish. I try to be conservative, not bearish, and there's a difference. And I also try to look more realistic. And most people, I know Crypto Mindset, I have watched some of his content. From my understanding, his whole channel, or at least stuff regarding Kaspa, is predominantly based on just technical analysis. And there's nothing wrong with TA. I've highlighted time and time again, I think TA is a very important element of understanding crypto. But I think if everything is based solely on TA, or 90% of it is based on TA, then, you know, I don't think it's the most accurate source of, predictions and price, if you will. For me, I pair it with fundamental news, you know, the stuff we're going to get through in a moment, macroeconomic news, and then of course Kaspa developments as well. Understanding again that Kaspa's, while not doing very well right now, we are still very much in a Bitcoin dominant market. People, and it happens every cycle, people end up getting very, very bearish because crypto's done very poorly, and people are like, oh, you know, everything's doing badly. We're in a Bitcoin dominant market. Go back to the last cycle. Look at assets like Solana. People have bearish sentiment on Solana as well. You look at Solana right here. You see Solana in its first cycle, you know, it was at a 10 bill market cap in August, right? If you compare this to Bitcoin dominance last cycle, so we're looking at what, 21, I believe? Yeah, 21 August time. Look at 21 in August time here, look. We're looking at Bitcoin dominance around here. Where is it? Bitcoin dominance came down here. So Bitcoin dominance is all the way down here at 40%, and then Solana started running. So when Bitcoin dominance was really, really high, Solana wasn't doing anything. It wasn't until Bitcoin dominance came down all the way to 40% that Solana started to finally make a run. That's Solana we're talking about as well. So in that regard, with Bitcoin dominance now rallying up higher and higher and higher, if Bitcoin dominance stays up really, really high, which is expected to do so, going, let's just say, into August, September time, give or take, and in fact, it could be longer, truth be told, which we'll get into why in a moment as well. When Bitcoin dominance does come back down, which it could very well come back down these levels again below 50%, you might then take, you know, a month or so delayed time. This is in June. It went down here in June, May, June time. Then you got July, August. You had 3 months of Bitcoin dominance being low until alts like Solana, which is, you know, one of the biggest assets in this space, biggest infrastructure in this space. Then it rallied in August. So by logic in that regard, then looking at other elements of market structure, you can see Bitcoin dominance go up higher and higher, then see it come down massively when all the institutions start looking at altcoins and ETFs in that regard. You might see a few months of it down here, and then the altcoins start rallying around here, putting you in again August, September time, give or take. Again, we have to wait and see how the market pans out, truly. So my whole point of highlighting that again is that while Kaspa is only at just short of 10 cents right now, and its all-time high is 20 cents, a 25 cents Kaspa for market cap perspective puts it around a 7, give or take 7-8 billion max. But then you consider what they are building. You consider the institutional adoption coming in faster this cycle. You know? And with that in mind, and you think about how long it took for assets like Solana to start rallying, Kaspa may be a late bloomer, but Kaspa, I think, still has a good chance of rallying significantly this cycle still. A lot of their big significant developments as well come out Q3, Q4 as well. So we'll have to, again, we're not being moon boy, we're not being bearish, we're playing realistic, but also trying to play reactionary to the markets, because ultimately playing reactionary is the I want to say I'm not sure maybe the best way is the right terminology, but playing reactionary is for me the safest way. You make predictions the way you think it can go, but you've ultimately got to try and remain logical, don't be emotional, and play reactionary to the markets and predict that way. Crypto mindset realistic. I mean, he has some very good calls on Kaspa. He predicted a 5 cents Kaspa pullback, and it came back to 5 cents. So he did a good call in that regard. And there'll be many people who call it that way. But again, if it's based solely off TA is not a silver bullet. You know, people who are very successful in this space, I have a lot of mates who are in crypto or even just trading in general, right? And TA is a fantastic source to help you, judge the markets and direction of the markets. But those who called 5 cents Kaspa also called 1 cent Kaspa. And Kaspa's not coming down to 1 cent, at least not right now. Hopefully it never does. But people will call him 1 cent Kaspa as well. TA has its limits, as well as fundamentals have its limits. That's why you've got to use them both together. What we do on this channel, if you look at the basic elements of TA, technical analysis, and then we look through all the fundamental news, like this stuff here, that gives you a better perspective of what's coming to the crypto project, and then equally what's coming to the market as a whole, and then we judge based on that. But equally, we don't do price predictions too much either, because we think price predictions can be quite a toxic mindset. Because again, if you are hell-bent on thinking 20 cents Kaspa is happening by the end of May and does not happen, you're going to be bearish again and start saying the project's dead. Again, I remind you about Solana. Solana is the number 6 crypto project in this space. It has almost 2 billion 24-hour trading volume. It is a very, very big cryptocurrency. It's got a massive ecosystem. And it did nothing. It went from, 1 billion at the beginning of 2021, rallied up quite nicely, and then it went stagnant from May all the way to August. 3-4 months of doing absolutely nothing. Sitting at 10 billion. And then in just a span of 3 months, exploded when the Bitcoin dominance was down for so long. So when you're doing your research, all I say is, again, research is important. Get it from multiple sources, but don't just, even for me, don't just latch onto me solely. I have a community, a free Discord server where we talk about everything, not just Kaspa Crypto, everything there, and we have multiple people in there who have different perspectives. And we share a lot of stuff. It's not even just my content in there. People share videos from other content creators as well. The whole premise of this community here is to help learn more about crypto, more about Kaspa. And then we have our VIP group, which helps you delve even more in-depth insight into institutional side of things as well, and actual educational content, as opposed to just what other people are doing. So again, there are much more you can find out there. Feel free to check them both out. Link down in the descriptions, or also on my homepage here as well. Because I'm telling you, I still think we're very, very early. And I think Kaspa, again, is still massively undervalued. And because it's done so badly for the last 9 months here, people have now started to ignore it. But then when you get people like Da Vinci Jeremy, I mean, again, I'm not saying I trust Da Vinci Jeremy. When you get him though talking about Kaspa again, that might be a sign that he's starting to realize something that other people just have failed to realize. Or maybe he realized that Kaspa always had potential but wanted to FUD it, and now it came down to 5 cents. He got a good entry level, and now he's talking about it a bit because he wants to pump his bags. We can debate that until death do us part. What's up, Greg, bro? Hope you're doing very, very well. Thank you very much, and hope you have a very, very good weekend so far as well, my man. Hello, you too, Hanny. Hope you're doing very well, bro. All these moon boys like Crypto Galaxy were too positive and BS. I do agree that moon boys can be quite damaging. I do agree, but there's a difference between being a moon boy and being bullish and being bearish and being conservative, right? And I agree that the moon boys definitely did hinder that, but at the same time, for me, I think the moon boy price of $10 Kaspa is quite excessive, right? That's putting you at a $250 billion market cap, give or take. That's a bit high. That's a bit high for me in its first cycle. That's a bit high. Despite how amazing Kaspa is, that level of adoption just simply is not here yet. But people who have said $4 Kaspa, while that does seem to be a little bit bullish still as well, that's a $100 billion market cap. Cardano did that in its first cycle. So there are levels of bullishness and moonboy and conservative and bearish that, again, the whole premise of you as an investor, when you're learning more, whether it be through this channel or through other channels, is to take multiple sources and devise your own trading strategy. If you agree with somebody else, fantastic, cool. But end of the day, you can't blame somebody else for their predictions, because it should be you as your own investor for deciding what you believe. There's a reason why everyone here, as content creators like myself, say not financial advice, do your own research. Because first off, we're not liable to do this sort of stuff, and secondly, end of the day, you're your own person. We can say what we believe, but it's not our fault, end of the day, if you end up having a misconception based on something you heard. That's also why I stopped doing price predictions, because I think that also further retraces the potential of people then having a go at me, getting angry at me because I said something that didn't come to fruition. It was my prediction, and I would have played based on my predictions. I'm not saying $10. Well, I mean, I've not said that, but people aren't necessarily saying $10 because they think it's definitely going to be $10, or they're saying it because they want the bag to be pumped so they can use you with extra liquidity. Some people will do that, I'm sure, but some people also say that they actually believe you'll reach that price. Me, I'm quite transparent. So when I was doing price predictions, everything I said about Kaspa and cryptos was what I solely believe. I think crypto can reach a 6 trillion market cap. That's not me trying to use anybody's extra liquidity. I think it can 2x from here. I think it's very, very possible. In that regard then, thinking about Bitcoin, which will therefore reach like 3 trillion market cap, give or take, what's to say that Kaspa can't attain to 1% of that, which is 30 billion market cap, which is over $1. It's just me throwing it out there. I'm not saying it's going to get there, but it's the correlation between other assets that I'm trying to make the comparison towards. But again, we're early enough to where we are literally only sitting at 10 cents Kaspa right now. And with what's coming out, of how much longer, we still have quite a long time left of the cycle. We're in April going into May right now. We could easily see another 4 or 5 months of the cycle. But again, we're playing reactionary, so we don't just wait and then get, trying to call the top. We're not trying to call the top, right? I could say I think top's going to come in Q4, but I'm going to play reaction. If the markets end up saying it's going to be earlier, I'll play reaction to that and start preparing accordingly. And there are certain indicators you can use to help devise that. But that's a story for another day. That being said, we'll get into the content before we get into more of the questions. Welcome back everyone once again to the channel. And with that being said, we're going to get into the first start. I'm going to be releasing a video later today. It's going to be another altcoin video, which is going to be covering just 3 assets that I think are going to do very, very well in May coming right now, which I'll be talking about a little bit in the stream, but ultimately I want to highlight some elements, which is, for me, there are 4 to 5 key factors, fundamental factors that matter when judging a cryptocurrency or the crypto market as a whole right now. Charging financial markets, crypto in general, there are 4 to 5 things that I use at least to take into account for where the market should hopefully go. One of them is the unemployment data, right? This is a very good metric to understand the strength of the current economy in the United States. The higher the unemployment, it means the less money, therefore, that people will have would be able to spend on things. Therefore, it's deemed quite a bad thing. So you want to have more employment, right? The unemployment data comes out at the first Friday of every month. Therefore, on the 2nd of May, which is only 5 days from now, we'll be seeing the next unemployment data coming out for April just gone. So this is going to be a very, very interesting metric coming out in just 5 days that we'll be covering on stream. That'll give us an understanding of the current strength of the economy, while also giving an understanding of what the Federal Reserve are planning to do. They have FOMC meetings quite frequently. They had the last one in March, and the next one is May 6th and 7th, which is only 3 to 4 days after the unemployment data. So if the unemployment data is very good, so therefore there are, more people employed than there are unemployed, and the non-farm payroll, the amount of jobs in the economy is actually up than expected, that could influence the Fed to maybe start taking action like QE, quantitative easing or money printing, or rate cuts, potentially. Now, me personally, I'm not expecting that much this cycle, or not expecting that much in May. I'll be surprised if the Fed do cut rates in May, but I'm optimistic that June we could see it as well. But that's okay. So we got the unemployment data, 2nd of May. We got the FOMC meeting, 6th to 7th of May. And then also in relatively early May, we have the CPI, which is the inflation data, which also just, again, inflation, just judge the strength of the economy, how we're currently standing, if you will. Measure the average change over time in the prices paid per urban consumer. It's economic strength indicator effectively. Last CPI data we saw let us know that the inflation is actually lower than expected, which is very good. The next data coming out is on May 13th. So we have 3 very key macroeconomic developments taking place the first half of May. job data, FOMC meeting, and interest rates. This is going to be one of the most important CPI data to date because Trump has now implemented tariffs. And beforehand, the inflation has been coming down quite significantly, which is very good. But now it's going to Trump issued tariffs in April. So this CPI data is going to be the first CPI data we witness where the tariffs have actually been enforced. Therefore, it will have an effect on inflation. How much? That's the question. We'll have to wait and see. If it is below expectations, therefore the inflation is not as much as we thought, fantastic news. And that could also incentivize Jerome Powell and the Fed to cut rates in June. If it's much higher than expected, again, we'll have to wait and see because it's unlikely, therefore, because if the inflation is so high up, cutting rates causes more inflation. So ultimately, the lower the inflation, the higher chance we see rate cuts and QE. So 13th of May will be a very critical day for us to take into account and look out for. So that's 3 very important catalysts out of the 5 that I'm going to mention here to determine where the crypto market and therefore where crypto projects may go. Because we're in a Bitcoin dominant market, ultimately, how inflation acts and how these macroeconomic factors act on Bitcoin will affect the whole market. What Bitcoin does, every asset for the most part will follow. Because we're in a Bitcoin dominant market. If Bitcoin dominance is really, really far down, like it was back here, it might have less of an effect. Because Bitcoin dominance is so high right now, effectively the whole market follows in suit with Bitcoin. So early May is going to be very, very important. I do personally expect some pullbacks from here. I think Kaspa right now did a very strong job seeing a 2x from 5 cents, 5.3 cents up to almost 11 cents. Now it's back down a little bit, down to 9.66 cents. And I do believe there's a possibility we see Kaspa come down. And I'm praying it sees a reversal or some form of rejection in here, in this pocket here. It could be right down at the bottom here, 8 cents, or maybe even midway at this other level of resistance or support here now. If we see Kaspa get rejected and reverses, the higher it gets reversed, the better it is for Kaspa. If we see it go below here, then we have another conversation. But for me, as long as we see it get rejected and reversed here, at the bottom here, worst case, then that is a very good sign we're now in a bullish trend for Kaspa. If you see it anywhere higher, that means it's even more bullish. And considering how close Kaspa's big developments are, I'm optimistic it could be a little bit higher of a reversal. Which again, that is also the 4th indicator. The 4th important factor to judge a cryptocurrency is also the project in question. So to take an example, one of the other assets I think I'm going to do very, very well in May is actually Sui. People don't like Sui for the most part because it's proof of stake. I get it. I do. Me, I'm predominantly a Kaspa Maxi, but I'm also a content creator and I look on the general outlook of the market. Kaspa's my biggest bag. I believe in it wholeheartedly, but I think Sui is also a good shout for this cycle. Do I trust Sui? No. Their tokenomics aren't my favorite, but I understand the benefit of hedging my bets and holding other assets to make gains to then flip into my conviction bags of Kaspa. The money I have in Sui is not a lot. I say that every stream, but I still get questions about it, so I reiterate it. Either way, Sui is one that I think could do very well in May for 2 reasons. One, because they have some form of boot camp thing. They're doing some like a Web3 festival effectively for Sui happening, I think early May as well. So that could also generate some more adoption depending on their announcements. Their announcement may be very, very bullish for Sui as well. And also, we've been seeing repeatedly now how Grayscale have been just on there, just bouncing on it. They've been all over Sui recently, which is, fair enough, I guess, fair enough. But you're seeing a lot of institutional sentiment for Sui growing, and they've got big developments coming through, big announcements seemingly. So May could be a big month for Sui. One also I think could do very well in May is Tau. Alex Becker, quite a well-renowned content creator in this space, did state recently in a video that I think Tau is going to do crazy move like 10 billion, something crazy, and is going to top 15 cryptos, which 10 billion will be putting you, above Leo right now. And for the most part, I agree. I mean, I'm not so much saying the price target element, like, again, debate that till death do us part. Right now, Tau is just a 3 bill market cap. So 10 billion would be a nice 3x from here. And Tau is, proof, like, fair launch like Bitcoin was effectively. while also being a big factor in AI. And I think AI is a very, even now, while we talk about it frequently, it's a very slept upon market, AI. People don't understand the significance of AI just yet. Tau also saw an incredible rally in April, a 2x as well, peaking up here at $376. So Tau had a very good run in April once again, and so did Sui actually. Sui had an incredible rally. You know, bottoming down here at 1.7 and peaking up here at 3.8. So all three of these altcoins have all seen over 2x's in April alone. So if you manage to somehow time the bottom, then fantastic news. You got in and got 3 assets that got 2x's. And I think these could potentially continue their rally going into May as well, based on these macroeconomic factors of Bitcoin dominance still being so high, based on their individual developments, like Sui having some big developments, Kaspa, we'll get into those in a moment, and then Tau as well. Just again, AI as a narrative in itself is so big, or at least it's going to be so big, that I think that can alone drive Tau higher, being for me the most speculative and most impressive AI project in the space. And also, interestingly as well, it's based on institutional sentiment. The SEC has approved a public launch date of April 30th, that's in 3 days' time, for ProShares Trust XRP ETF. That's XRP, so it's not, again, related to these assets, but that's proving to everybody that we're getting, that the SEC, with full access and power now, we're seeing the acceleration of ETFs. Therefore, we're going to see potentially a lot more institutional adoption coming to altcoins. That could help drive these assets up higher as well, and also potentially indicate an altcoin cycle quickly as well. Bitcoin dominance might fall off quickly as well. We don't know yet. But we see if you get XRP and Sui and HBAR and Litecoin and who knows, maybe even Kaspa or Tau, Tau's already a part of Grayscale. Kaspa's not right now. Who knows if it does in the future? I think it's possible. We could get ETFs for altcoins coming out quicker and regulatory frameworks coming through. We could potentially see the altcoin dominant or the Bitcoin dominance fall off a bit more, and then alt start to rally earlier as well. Again, we'll have to wait and see. Personally, I hope it's later. I'll give Kaspa more time to release all its big developments, and therefore more time for us to stack our back when they're lower. So to reiterate right now, out of the 5 key factors, there's 4 we've covered, which is all these macroeconomic news, the FOMC meeting, the inflation data, and the unemployment data. And then also it's the asset-specific developments. So Tau being an AI asset, Sui having a lot of institutional adoption, having some big developments in May, Kaspa having its own fair share of big developments in May, we're going to get into right now. And I'll cover the 5th big one in a moment, which for me is equally as important as a good indicator. So we can see here from Kaspa News. Kaspa Door highlights here, I miss my old KS0 being one of the miners, which will now become relevant again, not for profits per se, but for the beauty of actually hitting some blocks and sustaining the network. I would love to see BitAxe open source miners built on Kaspa on May 5th. Make sure you open Kas.live, as there will be a confetti and balloons. Ultimately highlighting that again, we're talking about the project specific fundamentals, the development. So for Kaspa's sake, May is going to be 2.0, revolutionary, the big time for Kaspa to just revamp itself, make itself let itself compete in this space properly. It's already been a competitor in my belief, but then it's going to be able to actually stand on the same pedestal, with it now being 10 BPS, so in theory 10 times faster. Not exactly 10 times faster. In fact, Shai made a post about that recently, how it's not exactly 10 times faster, but in theory it is, but it is going to be significantly faster. But 10 BPS, I spoke about this with Tony actually, not Crypt Tony, other Tony, earlier, where he mentioned that his miners, he managed to hit some blocks already. And so he had been able to make some money through the miners, fantastic. But again, that's without 10 BPS. With 10 BPS, while the amount of money you'll make is less so, you're going to have a higher chance to actually hit the blocks, therefore helping sustain the network and potentially making more rewards. You're having 10 times more likelihood to hit the blocks. May not make as much money, but you have a higher chance of doing so. So it could actually be beneficial. 5th of May is going to be huge. And then we got other posts, like what Capital highlighted here as well. I might get fired from Casplex by doing this, but we had an internal meeting and there were quite some outstanding updates on layer 2s and Casplex as a whole. The public testnet is right around the corner. We had confirmation from Casplex now. They're getting ready for it. So he was right in that regard of that leak. The mainnet won't take months. This post was at the 11th of April, so that is, 2 to 3 weeks ago now. So if it won't take months, it will take weeks therefore. So therefore, potentially you'll see the mainnet launch come out very, very soon after the testnet launch. So I'd like to speculate, based on these updates as well, we may see a public testnet coming out in May, and then potentially the mainnet coming out late May, early June time, sometime in Q2 most definitely. All other updates here as well is very, very. The new website one actually was very interesting because it gave us some insight on some new projects coming to Casplex, like a new VM for like gaming side of things as well. Also mentioned here, another course from other geeks that are building some staking DeFi automated market makers on layer 2s on Casper as well. So we also know that more developments coming to Casper very soon in and around 10 BPS. The future of Casper is glorious, or how someone else puts it, Casper starts at 10 BPS. The layer 2 is coming very soon. Casper is going to be the first layer 2, if you will, building. Ig was going to come soon afterwards, I'm sure. And then you'll see many, many more dexes coming on as well. And they highlighted here for me, which is why I think May also is going to be a big time for Casper. Not just 10 BPS, but also Casplex as well. Adapting to 10 BPS and improved data synchronization performance. Introduced fixed block execution batches to prepare for upcoming built-in virtual machine mechanisms. And added 4 new opcodes, issue, chown, burn, and blacklist. These are all being released. All have to be updated and upgraded to this version before the hard fork. Which again, hard fork right now, that's only 8 days away. They have to be updated beforehand. And while you do need smart contracts or stablecoins, this here allows you to actually run stablecoins without smart contracts. So we're going to get some early versions of stablecoins on Casper. At least the infrastructure for such, the opcodes will be implemented before 10 BPS. Before the 5th of May. So and we know from Johnny, the executive vice president of the KEF, they've been talking to USDT Tether, USDC Circle, and other stablecoin operators since December 2024. Right now, the seemingly front runner seems to be Tether. So we might see your stablecoin operators or stablecoin, projects like Tether coming onto Casper potentially in May, very, very soon. How soon? Again, we haven't got confirmation as such. It's still very much in the air, but all developments and signs suggest it's going to be in the next coming weeks. Casper is very, very early. They're also bridging to stuff like Uniswap as well. You have Uniswap V2 pairs seemingly, also running through Casper as well. And there's something here from Michael Sutton and Vite that I think is just, again, very, very insightful, just an indicator once more of where we're currently positioned with Casper. Which, this whole massive article, if you will, from Vite, it goes into a lot of depth, as you can see here, but ultimately just highlights that Casper's crescendo and pre-ZK rollup, so before we get ZK rollup, it doesn't actually fully fix the layer 2 fragmentation like Ethereum. So it's ultimately highlighting right now, with this 10 BPS upgrade, Casper is going to be on a very, very similar level to early day Ethereum. Because if you remember early day Ethereum, we saw a generational run from 25 billion to $125 billion market cap. Of course, possible back then. It's a different market now, more competitive now, but Ethereum was praised to be the next big thing that early on. So Casper, with the Ethereum virtual machine element that's coming out similar time to 10 BPS, is going to be like early day Ethereum. Although again, Casper's had the layer 1 orders, layer 2 transactions, so the initial atomic cross layer 2 interactions, it still needs a bridge. So it's going to be similar to Ethereum early days. The future ZK smart contract upgrade, which is going to be coming out, I believe, Q3, worst case Q4 this year, will make Casper the evolution of what Ethereum should have been. With layer 1 based zero knowledge verification and direct cross-contact communication, it aims to solve the issue that Ethereum have by allowing atomic multi-layer 2 transactions without a bridge. Without having the layer 2 acting as a bridge between the two, it just has it as Casper as itself. Therefore, Casper incentivizes and Casper fees could further unify the system, making it more secure through community cooperation. And this also, the ZK smart contracts may reduce the need for layer 2 tokens, making Casper again more secure and more reliable and more decentralized. So Casper right now is in a position where this upgrade on the 10th of not the 10th, the 5th of May, will make Kaspa in a similar sort of limelight to Ethereum in the early days. And then with ZK coming out later on this cycle, that could evolve Kaspa to being a level above that, to being what Ethereum should have been from the first time, making it so much stronger, so much more reliable, and therefore making sure Kaspa can start actually capitalizing more on the market. And that's going to come out again in Q3, Q4, when the market may be starting to reach that euphoria, reaching that top, and therefore Bitcoin's reached its top, and alts then start making its rally up as well. And if Kappa has big developments around then, you might see Kappa gain a lot more adoption in that regard as well. Michael Sun replied to that post actually, ultimately just praising, saying, it's I really love this post, it's a really, really great post, and to me, it marks the start of the smart contract era, sealing one-to-one, if you will, and already provides an intra-round block parallelism properties that can start to be showcased via initial dApps, even if the layer 2 landscape is still limited. So he's highlighting that even with the Ethereum virtual machines, it's still a limitation, making Kaspa like early day Ethereum, but you might actually get to see the early signs of Kaspa being superior via the dApps that are being built on Kaspa, because it has extra level of security and decentralization that Ethereum didn't have, while being quick as well. And by the way, I think the smart contract world without ZK is actually still not risky for Kaspa, because the downside and limitations are so obvious that there is no risk of getting stuck at this point in the design space. So he's saying even without ZK, it's not a problem for Kaspa, because they are the limitations of the current smart contract ecosystem is so obvious that we'd find a way to work around it. So this is again the future coming for Kaspa. Where we go price-wise is always it's a talking point all the time. I try to steer clear from that, but it's always a talking point. But the title states and the thumbnail states, yes, we are early, and I do think we haven't seen anything yet. We are so early. All these big fundamentals, the three big ones here, the project fundamentals as well, that I think are going to help in rounding them up higher as well. And then equally, there's also the fifth fundamental, and there are some more. There's actually 6, if you will, that I'm going to talk about in this stream. The fifth one I'm going to talk about as well is the M2 supply. M2 supply is, again, not a silver bullet. It's not the Holy Grail, it's not the Bible, but it is a relatively accurate indicator. It's got 80% correlation to the price of Bitcoin. And as we're in a Bitcoin dominant market, it means also 80% correlation to the altcoins as well right now. And it has right now got Bitcoin kind of running up to where it's at right now, as we have seen. And then it kind of cools off a little bit, has a little bit of a pullback. And then we start seeing it rally up again, going into May, June time. So in that mind, we may see some pullbacks in the immediate short term, which is what I've been predicting, or I've been stating at least. Again, that's my belief, not financial advice. I'm basing it on the information that I've done, also in the fact that I think May will be a good month. But again, the FOMC meeting, I'm not expecting anything drastic from that, but I'm expecting that these two datas, the unemployment and also the inflation data, this is going to come back probably up, but it won't be too high up, I'm hoping. And that will lead us to hopefully some announcements from Jerome Powell that going into June, we will get rate cuts. And therefore, the market will start rallying in anticipation for that, pricing them into the market. And empty supply is going up as well. So we're seeing this is already high right now, 130k Bitcoin. Again, not 100% accurate, but still a good one. And that's without United States cutting rates and printing money. So that's got a lot more room to grow from here. That's a fifth indicator that suggests we're going to go higher. And then the sixth one, which I haven't even properly mentioned, at least recently, which is institutional adoption. We spoke about this already here with XRP, but again, this M2 supply, this stuff here is just based on crypto as a fundamental asset class. It's not talking about the fact that we are seeing a shift in our monetary system with institutions hedging more of their bets into adopting and buying cryptocurrencies. A lot of them, a massive majority of them, are still waiting on the sidelines for regulatory clarities, regulatory framework and bills that are coming out seemingly in July, August time. The market structure bill, stablecoin bill coming out in America, July, August time, that will likely see a massive institutional flood of liquidity through ETFs, through actually adopting the technology and utilizing it, promoting it to the open world. They'll be doing it a bit more now through mainstream media, but it's going to be like everywhere going forward. They're almost ready. They're waiting for regulatory clarity and frameworks. That's all they're waiting for now. That's a sixth major catalyst. Therefore, that could cause potentially Bitcoin and crypto to go higher than the M2. Again, this is speculative. Do your own research. But I believe if we start following it similarly to this, Bitcoin following it quite similarly, if we see it does tend to do so, not against silver bullet, but quite accurately, with regulatory clarity coming out seemingly around here, we might see just there and then, Bitcoin just does that. And therefore, Bitcoin dominance still being high. Therefore, you see ETFs from other assets coming out, XRP being the first one. You'll see Sui likely get some. You'll see Hedera HBAR, Litecoin, Solana, Dogecoin. You'll see Trump's coins, I'm sure, getting some. You'll see many other assets getting some. AVAX. You may see a Kaspa. Kaspa's already got ETPs with valid funds. If you check out Kaspa, which is a website that I believe Kaspador created, it's a website that kind of gives a general rundown of everything that Kaspa has going on for it right now. We can see it's got it's on the wallet page. You go to home page here. You can see everything Kaspa has, kind of a very nice UI as well. It's got all the way down to the bottom. You can see ETP, exchange traded products, Valor. Now ETPs, for those who are unaware, they are the European version of ETFs. There's no difference apart from the name and where they're based, but Kaspa already has ETPs. So it already has ETFs effectively. So by that logic, Kaspa could very well see ETFs in the United States, especially if Grayscale are the reason for that. They have currently removed Kaspa, but they've got Mantra on there, and Mantra's done terribly. And what's about to come up for Kaspa as well, I think Grayscale may change their mind soon. Not that we need ETFs again. ETFs will help Kaspa rally up higher and price their cycle, but we don't need them. I think Kaspa going to prove itself alone without that sort of stuff. So that's the 6 indicators effectively. The 6 big indicators being, again, all the macroeconomic news, so the M2 supply, which is going up higher and higher and higher, with more money printing and rate cuts, the unemployment data, the inflation data, the FOMC meeting where Jerome Powell decides what they're actually doing. 4 big factors there. The regulatory framework, that's a big factor as well, probably the biggest one here for crypto. Well, the industry is about to size more and more into crypto than already doing so. And then the 6th one being the actual project in question. Your Suis, your XRPs, your Kaspers, your Cs, your Taos, what's going on in their ecosystem. Development-wise, or just the sentiment. Even with meme coins like Turbo. The sentiment behind Turbo has gone very bullish recently after seeing it come down 90% in value from all-time highs down to 0.0014 and then rallying up to 0.0058. Seeing what, a 6x give or take? Okay, bit much. 4x either way. In the span of April once again. So April also been a very big month for Turbo. Of course, it's a meme coin, it's a smaller market cap, and the fundamentals behind Turbo are different due to being a meme. It's probably more just community sentiment. But either way, Turbo's done fantastically as well. So then you have to understand, again, depending on the asset. If you're holding something like Kaspa or Sui, they are layer 1 infrastructures. Therefore, what they're developing has more of a direct effect on what can happen to the price. If you're holding something like Turbo, that's a meme coin, you've got to understand the community and the cult-like incentive. Meme coins is emotional. When I say don't be emotional, be logical, it means being logical means playing on people's emotions. So if you're holding a meme coin, your logical thought process should be, how are they reacting emotionally right now? Will it pump in price? If you're holding something like Kaspa, you sort of understand that sort of stuff, even in Kaspa or Sui projects, but the fundamentals could affect that emotional sentiment more so. So Kaspa's releasing 10 BPS, smart contracts, and also stablecoins, potentially all in the next 2 to 3 months. Well, 2 months. You'll see early elements of that, and then the native ones coming out later on as well in Q3, Q4. Equalab's building more so releasing their public testnet and mainnet launch as well. So again, that stuff to take into account when you look into a project, and that also has a direct effect on the price where it can go. So could we see Kaspa go above 20 cents? I think very likely. Could we see it go much higher than that? I also think very likely. Based on the fact that we are not in an altcoin dominant market just yet. The fact that we're going to see crypto go higher than we've ever seen before. People are saying, the information we covered in our VIP group gave them some actual institutional predictions on where to see the crypto market going right now, and they are way more bullish than I am, and of course I stay conservative. I say 6 trillion. They are way more bullish than I am. If you want to find that information again, we did upload the VIP recording group, the executive recording. We did a 1 hour live stream earlier today, and we recorded that and uploaded it. So if you want to find out exactly what was covered from the institutional documents, what the analysts were talking about, go check it out again, link down below in the description. Homepage, 7-day free trial as well. You can watch it for free, therefore, and if you like what you see, then you come sign up. But they are way more bullish than I am right now. I'm really saying 6 trill. And I think they're saying it go a lot higher. In that regard, then Kaspa could Casper could explode from here. Very well could explode. Not just Casper, crypto as a whole. Because right now, to understand as well, 6 trillion is a lot of money. And Bitcoin right now, it takes up more than 50% of the total market cap of crypto. Right now, we've got just short of 3 trillion. Bitcoin's at 1.8. Because Bitcoin dominance is so high. But therefore, Bitcoin takes up over 50% of the market cap. If you get a 6 trillion market cap in crypto, Bitcoin will be about 3.8k. So it being 3.8k, you've got to think about that comparatively to other assets. When the altcoin cycle starts to rally, who's going to gain most of the, accumulate most of the liquidity from Bitcoin? For me, these big ones, Ethereum, XRP, Solana will definitely get that. I think that Sui will probably get that as well. Truth be told, that's also why I'm holding Sui. I still think Casper will get that. Why? Because Casper's got a lot of business coming through, and also because of people like Da Vinci Jeremy. Not him as an individual, him as a Bitcoin maximalist. A lot of Bitcoin maxis only like Bitcoin or only like proof of work. But mostly only like Bitcoin. But even those who only like Bitcoin, they've come to actually learn and start to hedge into Casper. So when they understand Bitcoin dominance falls off, a lot of them may decide to, start migrating to hold Casper as a way to make extra gains. We can play this video in a moment. I don't know if I'm going to get copyright struck or not for it, so I have to see. But I'll play the video here in a moment, and we'll hear Da Vinci Jeremy literally talking about, again, why he's still saying Bitcoin's the best, which is understandable. He's the Bitcoin maxi, how he made his brand. He's going to always talk about Bitcoin. That's why, mine's strong belief anyway, but that's why I still talk about Casper, because it's my belief. It's effectively my brand. But I'm not getting paid, of course. But again, it's him talking about that, alts like Casper may recover. So we'll listen to this very quickly as well and take it into account. So just pay close attention.
Where a lot of the famous altcoins are taking a big hit. They're not going higher. Why? It's because Bitcoin is where most of the money is going to. And on top of that, there's millions and millions of cryptocurrencies out there. So money is being dispersed amongst all the different cryptocurrencies. So Kaspa is an example of one cryptocurrency that has seen better days. Will it go to maybe $1 to even $2? Maybe not this cycle, but it will do well in the future. So yeah, you can invest in Kaspa, but keep in mind, it's not going to do better than Bitcoin.
Now, my sentiment on that video is very, very simple. He's highlighting that Kaspa's going to probably do very well in the future. He sees Da Vinci Jeremy, who was a massive anti-Kaspa, he hated Kaspa because it was a threat to Bitcoin. He's now openly admitted that Kaspa will do well in the future, which we could all attest to that. We all believe in that anyways. A lot of people who FUD Kaspa now say it's going to do badly this cycle, but they still believe it's going to do well. So they're just upset it's not going to reach $10 this cycle effectively. But he's highlighting it may or may not recover. Again, we could debate that till death do us past. He's highlighting that we're in a Bitcoin's the best, and it is. But again, to reiterate that, we are in a Bitcoin dominant market. Of course, Bitcoin's doing the best. But as history has shown us time and time again, Bitcoin does fantastically. The Bitcoin dominance goes to all-time highs, and we see it just keep running up higher and higher and higher. And then we see a massive downtrend. We see it flip on its head. Look even back here. Look how high it was back here. Obviously, it's early days right now. It was 100% back then. The first introduction of significant altcoins, the first cycle, if you would, 2017 cycle. Then we saw Bitcoin dominance go up to 73%. What I believe you'll see this cycle, as proven from here, is the dominance won't go up as high probably. You might see Bitcoin dominance come up to maybe 70%, but maybe not as high as this time. Maybe not. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But as it will always showcase, and I believe it will do, you'll see the Bitcoin dominance start coming down again. And with that, Bitcoin being the best, as Da Vinci Jeremy says, while it is, it's the biggest asset, it's the godfather of crypto, it will fall down. And as a result of it falling down, you'll see alts start doing very, very well. And when you have more maximalists who are in Bitcoin who are starting to see the value in Kaspa, they'll start migrating to Kaspa as opposed to any other asset that is proof of stake, therefore not trustworthy. So Kaspa, by that logic, by and large, could also do better than we expect. Early. We are early, we have not seen nothing yet. That's ultimately how I perceive this cycle right now. May's looking like a very opportunistic time for crypto and Kaspa as a whole. We can see higher highs. The 3 assets I'm going to talk about in the latest video will be Kaspa, Sui, and Tau, which I've spoken in those 3 already in the past. In my first altcoin video here, I spoke about those 3 already, so it's going to be almost a repetition of that, but it's going to be covering again the incoming developments for those 3, for why I think May's going to be a big month for those 3 as well. So stay tuned for that when it comes out later today. This is again why I am not remotely worried about where the cycle's going to go, and why I understand being bearish on Kaspa and crypto, but the bearish sentiment is based on a Bitcoin dominant market. You know, it's like saying, you know, you're watching the current game between the Warriors and the Houston Rockets, and you're seeing that the Golden State Warriors are down like 15 points by halftime. You still got a whole other half left, and Golden State Warriors put on the burners and came back and won. The same can happen with altcoins right now. We're in still where the Bitcoin dominance is still reigning supreme. Therefore, nothing's going to really perform massively well. We're seeing a nice recovery in alts. Even Ethereum went back to 1.8k. But when the second half actually kicks off and the altcoin starts to rally again, you'll likely see assets like Kaspa outperform expectations. That's my belief again. There's nothing wrong with being bearish. It can make you more assertive, it makes you more safe, and therefore lower your expectations, therefore meaning you're going to be less emotional. But at the same time, overly bearish can be emotional as well. Do research, learn fundamentals. And if you want to find more about the stuff, again, information about that's available in my free community, and equally even more depth about that in the VIP group as well. Linked up below in the description, also on the homepage again. I still think we're early. I think there's more to come, and the video later on today will get into that in more detail in a structured format as well. Can't wait to flip Ethereum. I think it's just an inevitable future that Kaspa will flip Ethereum. It won't happen this cycle. You know, if it happens this cycle, then I'll do a face reveal there and then. And I can say that with confidence, because I don't see unless Ethereum falls off like a Terra Luna, there's no way Kaspa flips Ethereum. Ethereum already, you know, is sitting at a 217 bill market cap. It peaked at 500. There's no way Kaspa flips that this cycle. But Kaspa will flip Ethereum in the future. There's no doubt in my belief. Kaspa, yes, Kaspa the king. Diamond hands to the moon. 100% Leo. Trump tweets negates any technical analysis. That's also true. That's also very true. That's the seventh big point. You got the 4 macros being marked. You got the M2 supply, the inflation data, the unemployment data. You got the FOMC meeting. Then you got the regulatory frameworks coming out in America. That's a big element as well. Then you've got the actual project fundamentals as well. And then you've got Trump. He's his own individual, you know, market mover. What he says and does has a direct effect on the market. We've seen what the tariffs have done. So what he says actually has people who've been doing TA, you know, like the TA have been saying the bearish sentiment on Kaspa, while people were seemingly right about coming out to 5 cents. I mean, it came out to 5.6. It didn't come out actually to 5 cents, but they were correct about that regard. This massive correction is not necessarily because of Kaspa, because Trump was dumping the markets. Trump is affecting the markets more than people are predicting. TA cannot predict what Trump's going to do to it. The best you can do with TA with Trump's predictions, if you're doing that, then you're also taking Trump's predictions into account. The best people who use TA are people who use fundamentals to price into their predictions. So if I'm using TA right now, I'm going to get something like, oh, let's use the fib retracement, I guess. We've seen this nice rally up here. So by that logic from the fib retracement right now, seeing it rally up here, we're expecting therefore in Kaspa to see it come down to this golden ratio here, where we saw it correct beforehand. 8 cents to 8.7, somewhere in between here. Or maybe it will reject off here. But again, that's not taken into account. Trump may decide to do, haha, China, we're gonna put more tariffs on you again. Goes down to, you know, dead, you know? There's more to just TA. TA is fantastic. Definitely learn TA, because it helps you get used to it. Using TA will help make your charts look a little bit like mine do, in the sense of maybe not this much. I mean, mine's not very clean, to be honest. I should be using boxes more so than just lines. But if you use TA, it'll help you divide this, the zones where you think the markets can go. And then you can use other elements like these indicators like M2, you know, the wedge stuff like we were talking about last time as well, where Kaspa broke out the wedge upwards. They're important. They're good, right? But TA for me, I use to devise my zones of levels of support and resistance. I don't use it to predict when the market's going to go. Fundamentals have an effect on the TA. TA doesn't have an effect on the fundamentals. You know what that means? Long Beach crypto? No idea what you mean, Coke Man. If you're saying, do I think long in here would be not a bad idea for crypto? I'm not a financial advisor. I think the market is. I think there's a much higher chance we see crypto go up, then go down, and go to a bear cycle from here. I think the bulls have proven that we're in a bull cycle still. That's all I can say to that much. TA is only useful in a neutral market. Also very true. If you look at Ethereum, right? When you saw Ethereum going through this period here, TA would have been useful here because it's quite evident that Ethereum's going through this sort of cycle here. So you could kind of use, TA to then make your trade from here. And also understand that, Ethereum very much in a downtrend, all this period here is downtrend. But otherwise then, again, TA has its limitations. Fundamentals, I've seen more people be successful from crypto using fundamentals than using TA only. Of course, the best of both worlds, the best. $3 to $5 now November. I mean, if you see a $3 to $5 Casper in November, that would be insane. That would be absolutely insane. But yeah, I mean, that would be putting between a $75 to $125 billion market cap. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it would be insane to say the least. 250 billion is nothing. Look at what Ethereum did, and that's only half the project Casper is. True, but again, the difference is Ethereum was in a market where it was one of the early movers. So people who heard of Bitcoin, who wanted to get more exposure to the next big thing, went to Ethereum. We've got more competition now, and also Ethereum has some early, investment elements as well. I obviously believe wholeheartedly that Casper is better than Ethereum, and by logic, Casper could very much surpass Ethereum in its first cycle. But we are in different cycles. We've got to take that into account. The level of adoption Casper has comparatively to Ethereum is seemingly a lot more lackluster. And also Ethereum had that first mover advantage. So Ethereum had little to no competition. Casper has got hundreds it's the best, but it's got hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands to compete with in this space. So it's different. But Casper will flip Ethereum, I'm sure. I will look down my ivory tower at the proof of stake peasants. I mean, again, proof of stakes we have a very strong belief in them in this community that they are not good. And I do, for the most part, agree. But I do, again, see the value in the institutional sentiment behind them. Therefore, that's why I hold them. And that's, again, why I continue to believe they'll do well. I mean, Sui, again, is still pumping. It's been a very, very nice uptrend. So, and I think it's going to do a lot more. That's because Grayscale's pumping its price because they know what's coming out in May as well. So Sui's going to be a big one. What's up, DC bro? Hope you're doing very, very well. 40 minutes in the past here. Hopefully you're caught up now. Welcome back to the channel, brother. Am I tripping? Was there a video yesterday? No, there was not a video yesterday. There was no stream or video yesterday. There was a stream and video the day beforehand. It says 1 day ago, but actually it was posted like Friday night for me where I'm at. So it was not yesterday. But there will be a video out later today. After the stream goes live, I'll start recording it and uploading it as well. Welcome back, Mila. Hope you're doing very, very well. And yeah, having a great day. So hopefully you all had a very, very good weekend. I'm hoping you are. What's the chances Casper will reach autumn highs this May? Good question. For me, if I'm being blunt, and I would love to be proven wrong, I'm saying it's quite low. I think Casper will reach autumn highs going June, July. That's what I believe. But again, I love to be proven wrong. And again, I don't understand the level of adoption we're going to get based on these features he's talking about. Casper Dor mentioned the fact that they've got some geeks building staking, DeFi, and AMMs, these sort of stuff that will bring more adoption to Casper. Also, he mentioned that in an AMA that they are talking to other blockchains to bridge onto Casper as well. So we may see some form of developments that I've not priced into the price of Casper just yet in this immediate short term. So if Casper could reach some from higher levels in May, who knows? For me, I'm a bit more skeptical. We'll see Casper hit here before here. I don't think we'll see Casper go up this high in that short time frame. I'd love to be proven wrong. Again, we've seen it in the past, so it's not impossible. Look at here, for example. So I would love to be proven wrong, but I'm right now expecting a more, some corrections. May is going to be a bullish month for, building and laying the foundations for June. but you'll see some higher prices. I think you might see Kaspa reach above here. And again, who knows? Maybe we get a tier 1 listing in May. That's again very speculative, but based on 10 BPS, based on smart contracts, based on stablecoins, potentially all coming out in that month from Casplex as well. Tier 1s may use that as a potential opportunity to capitalize on the FOMO in Kaspa and list the project like Binance. This wallet here hasn't bought any more today, but they are sitting at 702,000 Kaspa. They are definitely primed and ready to list if they are on exchange. I think they are. So again, the truth of the matter is nobody knows. That's always what I say. Nobody knows. I'm more skeptical. I think it's a small chance, but I'd love to be proven wrong, and there's definitely a possibility of such. Adoption is key. The more smart contracts start jumping in, the more FOMO will build up. $10 seems unrealistic until the smart contracts stack up. I don't think anybody truly understands the potential. I think understanding the potential is one element, but trying to get the price of Kaspa is an impossible task, because ultimately everyone sees the potential. I think a lot of people see what Kaspa has potentially, but what matters, as you mentioned, is adoption. Without the adoption, it doesn't matter how much potential Kaspa has. Now, it's going to get the adoption, but how quickly is another question entirely. So I have to wait and see. So crypto tech, Toady, who did very well, my man. It's so sad watching the scam Sui with nasty vesting schedule and tokenomic pumping so much, and the best project Kaspa performing like this. Shame to the big 2 exchanges. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's how business, how finance, how crypto is. It's just how it goes. Either you know. That's why, for me, why I'm actually in Sui. I don't trust them personally. I see what they're building and I think it is quite interesting, but I'm also invested into Sui because I do see that there's so much FOMO around the project, probably due to unrealistic promises and expectations, but that in itself is still bullish for the project. That's why I think people are talking about it being the Solana 2.0. If that's the case, then Sui has an 8x potential from here, because Solana went from 10 to 80 bill, right now stood at 11 billion, so 8x potential, therefore. That would be insane if that's the case. And again, I think actually it is possible, truth be told. I don't trust Sui, but I'm hoping to hedge my bets, make a big bag, and then cycle that into my true conviction, which is Kaspa. I've said it already, and I'm saying it again. Kaspa is literally the only asset that I will still hold some of at the end of the cycle. I will likely take out everything and some Kaspa, but I'll be holding Kaspa still when the market reverses and goes down again, because again, I just think I mean, I'll explain why I let it date, but my conviction in Kaspa is unwavered. What's up, Art Zero, bro? Hope you're doing very, very well. Sui X7 is blowing up. It is doing very, very well. Very well indeed. Stop worrying about short-term price. Also, yeah, I mean, it's nothing wrong. If you're trying to actively trade, then of course worrying about short-term price is fair. If you're as an investor, then of course short-term doesn't really matter too much. Most of us here are just investors. We don't trade. So, you know, we just hold for the long term and sit back and relax. But I mean, yeah, for me, I think the immediate short term we see some pullbacks, but then going into early May, we'll start seeing a bit more of a rally back upwards. And again, for Kaspa, if you are looking at it, I'm hoping, again, if you draw out this fib retracement, which does have some element of accuracy, that's why people use it. Hopefully see Kaspa rebound around 8.7, if not 8 cents around this zone here. If we do, then fantastic. The higher we see it rebound and start going up again, the more bullish it is for us. And we can see Kaspa again, you know, probably do this whole like zigzaggy pattern up to here, going into, you know, June, July time type thing. When Binance, again, we have no idea. What does matter is the volume for Kaspa and also the event catalyst, which volume for Kaspa right now is down to 77 million, so it's not higher. And again, even we're seeing it higher now with BitGet and Bybit, 7%, which is reassuring. Kraken is still low at 1.8%. We see a lot higher those exchanges and higher volume in general for Kaspa, and that will be a good indicator that these big tier ones are getting ready. But right now, it's still a guessing game. There's no indicator right now for when they're going to come through. We know they have been working with Kaspa for a while. Binance's case since December 2023. So over a year and a half effectively now. They'll do it when they're ready. When FTX? I mean, anything can happen. I'll be very upset if we do get FTX 2.0. We did see something similar in that regard when Bybit hack happened in February, which was one of the worst months we've seen in crypto history. February, we saw mass liquidation all across the board and the Bybit hack as well. But I pray we don't get that. I pray we don't. Why would developers choose Kaspa over Sui? The decentralized element of it, the interoperability of it, the fact that it is going to be more secure, and when they end up releasing stuff like Dagonite as well, that'll give it another element to where it will be extremely quick while also being able to scale latency. Right now, you could argue that Sui is the better chain to build on because of its adoption. You could argue that. But I think Kaspa's going to prove as such that it's going to be as quick, if not quicker. It's going to be more secure, being truly decentralized as well. As, I'm not sure who it was now. I think it was, Michael Sutton said it in regards to the KRI. So there are some institutions out there who truly base their whole ideologies on the fact that they need decentralization in crypto. They can't work without it. They don't like the idea of having people overseeing what they're doing, government oversight or bad actors. They want to have true protection. That's going to become a common standard going forward. People, you're going to see it happen soon actually, because people in this world are getting sick and tired of governments and institutions controlling their lives. We're going into levels as worse as the Great Depression right now. Not trying to spread FUD, I'm trying to spread realism. Right now, we are not in a very good spot economically. And in fact, what we covered in our VIP group earlier today, in our roundtable, was covering exactly that. Even the institutions, the smart money, they are petrified of our economy. They're seeking crypto to safe haven. And what you're going to see is a lot of retailers also just come to the realization that you can't trust these people. You can't trust them. So the only way to have protection from them is to go to centralization. Kaspa is decentralized. Bitcoin is decentralized. Sui is not decentralized. They'll soon learn the difference between decentralized DeFi and true decentralized DeFi. Which Sui is a DeFi, XRP is a DeFi, Kaspa is a true DeFi at its core principle. Had no pre-allocations and that sort of stuff. So in that regard, some developers will choose Kaspa early on. That's my 2 cents on it, at least. And that's a very vague overview as well. But I think Kaspa's developments are going to make it shine through very, very soon. You'll see again, the biggest ecosystem in this space that is not, I guess, talked about enough again, it's still Bitcoin. And Bitcoin maximalists are researching Kaspa. They're diversing into Kaspa. And if you get Bitcoin maxis switching to Kaspa, what's it going to do for its adoption and price? When noon yet? In due time, Wing Hong. And as Crypto 20 highlights here, it's faster, more decentralized, more secure, has more capped supply, has no founders or VC token holdings over your head, ready to dump. Fair launch based on the vision of Satoshi. Should I go on? I mean, we can diverse more and more. For me, I think developers right now are built on Sui. But for me, they'll come to realize the actual significance of true decentralization and again, just trust, which you can't get with Sui. You can't get with any project effectively. You can't. Like when I'm holding Sui, I'm holding XRP because I think they're going to do very, very well. But I'm very conscious that they have 50+% pre-allocated to their developers and insiders. And they have enough, therefore, of the percentage. If you have over 50% of the supply, you have the power to dump that token. The same thing with like Kaspa. If you control over 51% of the supply or mining power, you can have executive decisions over the project. Now, Kaspa's so decentralized, it's very, very, very hard, if damn right near impossible, to have over 51% of the supply and mining power. But these other assets like XRP and Sui, they have that from the very beginning. So a small select group of people who are insiders already have over 50%. So they can do what they want. So again, it's a risk. Pace of Vero Kappa hits all-time highs. I doubt that. I mean, I'm not against potentially showcasing my face, although I am scared of Mr. Miles. I kid. Actually, I don't kid. Mr. Miles does terrify me. He's going to clip that as well, isn't he? I know he is. But if Kaspa does exceed leaps and bounds and goes beyond all expectations by a considerable margin, then maybe. We'll see. Oh, maybe I think if you hit all-time highs, maybe then I'll do a dono wallet. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Trading views should include the Trump's tweet indicator. Oh my gosh, that would be an incredible. That would be the most used indicator. I'm telling you now. Trump's tweet indicator. You see a tweet up, you're like, okay, now you know that this tweet has bullish indicators. It's going to go up like a little bit. Bearish, going to go down. That would be an. You know what? We should send him a message about that actually. If they could somehow manage to create something like that, that would be insane. Although I'm guessing, you know, Trump's only been in office for what, 3 months? It's quite early to be able to actually determine whether if 3 months is not enough data. You know, you need a bit more, maybe a year, and honestly might make it over a year. I think. T and A. I mean, yeah, technical and analysis. Yeah, I mean, it is it's definitely a useful indicator, definitely useful to help you divide the markets, but it's, again, not a golden bullet. What's up, Seth Brody? I have it all riding on Casper, plan to get Bitcoin in the bear market, but any thoughts? It's not a bad strategy at all. You know, I mean, again, how you invest is your decision. If you want to ride it all on Casper, that's up to you. I diversified a little bit, but again, that's completely up to you. If you want to take out at the top, quote unquote, at the top, and get into Bitcoin at the bear, it is the most stable out of the cryptocurrencies. So whereas alts will come back 80% most of the time, Bitcoin will come back less, and in the cycle it may come back even less than that. If you do get a Bitcoin strategic reserve, you may see it not come back as much. So it's not a bad strategy at all. Other scenario is put it into stables. If you don't want to take it out of crypto and therefore not have to pay the tax on it, just hold it into stablecoins and hold it in stablecoins instead. Right now I'm not focusing too much on my take profit strategies because I'm still a bit early on in that regard, but I'll be talking about it, I'm sure, in the coming months, my take profit strategy and how I'm going to go about it, and I'll be making it a lot more detailed to the VIPs as well early on, so we can get a better idea. Again, the benefit of being the VIP group, you find out the stuff we're talking about early on as well. But again, that's a few months down the line, so I'm not too worried about it right now. I'm thinking about buying Bitcoin if it goes 85% down on the bear market. But it depends on the price. I'll buy more Casper instead of that time. Again, I don't think that either of them are bad strategies. But one thing that we are all not taking into account once again is that with institutional adoption coming in the space, with the level of adoption we're going to see in crypto from this year starting, there's a strong possibility, not guaranteed again, but a strong possibility the market won't correct as much as we've seen in the past. We're typically used to 80% correction. That's when it's just retail though. We've now got institutions holding it. They don't want to lose 80% of their investment. With stock markets, it goes down 30%. Because we're still being early. The stock market has, I think it's 58 trillion market cap. And crypto's only at 3 right now. So it's much, much smaller. So you might still see a significant correction. Maybe it's not going to be 70%. Maybe it's only going to be 50 this time around. Again, we'll have to wait and see. But it's still early on. We'll talk about it again more for later on as well. The system crypto was designed to be trustless, meaning trust is not required on transfer energy and wealth. That's only possible with truly centralized project. That's also, yeah, exactly. That's ultimately, once again, why Casper is going to reign supreme. I'll be happy with his 50 cents bull run. I think that's also achievable. That's only a 12.5 bill market cap. I think we can reach that and maybe even then something there as well. We'll have to wait and see. That being said, if you enjoyed, as always, feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more. I'll be making a video later today, so definitely tune in for that. If you want to know more about crypto and Casper, then come check out the free community. Even more detail in the VIP group as well there, warp.com/coinfactory. Have a great day, good evening, and good night, people. And I will see you all tomorrow. May is going to be a huge month, so make sure you're all tuned in for the content coming through. And also history in the making. We are now 80th away from the activation of 10 BPS. What a time to be a Casper holder. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care now.